Oh baby, if you love colorful decor but you are short on cash, then pick up a paintbrush, babe, because today we're talking cool, creative, fun, colorful paint ideas. Welcome back to Laugh Cry DIY. I am your host, Katie, and on this channel, I give you the tips and tricks to bring your fantasy decor dreams to life, even if you're broke, even if you're a renter, and even if you're a neutral-loving minimalist. I am a maximalist who loves color and pattern, and the problem is that a lot of times adding a lot of color and pattern to a space via objects in a room can get a little pricey. But the easiest and most budget-friendly way to do it is with a can of paint. And on this channel, we have painted many things, from furniture to walls, to add a little hit of personality. But there are so many more ways you guys can use paint in really cool, creative, unexpected ways. So today I'm gonna give you 10 really freaking cool ideas that are more outside of the box than just like painting an arch. Some of these are super simple and easy if you suffer from anxiety and commitment phobia. Some of these are very clever illusions to add a little interest to your space. And some of these are very bold, in your face, high drama if you want to be as extra as possible, like me. But they are all very fun and budget-friendly ways to sass up your home if you want to tackle it on your next weekend project. And just like all my tip videos, I'm going to share a bunch of reference photos so you guys can really see what I'm talking about. Do you want to share? Okay. And I have put these tips in no particular order, so let's get into them. Why do I keep flipping my hair? I don't know. So first up, we're gonna start with the most obvious to me, and that is using paint to create faux wallpaper. Real wallpaper can be very expensive, so this is a great tactic if you want a lot of high drama without having to spend a ton. You can customize the color and pattern to whatever your own design style is. You can do a very crisp, sleek design, or you can do a very loosey-goosey, hand-painted design. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and fun. And on this channel, we have done this in several makeovers. We did this crazy, bold, geometric orange print in a mid-century inspired living room makeover. I also did a Navajo-inspired geometric print in a desert home. I personally love very bold and graphic designs, and I think this works especially well in a hallway. These are really fun and low pressure because it doesn't have to be perfect. I also always love a beautiful mural moment. I mean, how gorgeous is this? We added a mural to the dining room in that desert-inspired home just to make the space a little bit more fun. And I've talked about this before, but I really love stripes as a pattern. They're very timeless, and you can really mix up the styles depending on your own personal taste. For example, these can be really wide and dramatic, or they can be really narrow, or they can be hand painted, which makes things feel a little bit more homey. Also, patterns don't always have to be like in your face. Like, look at this two-tone pink stripe pattern. It's really beautiful and subtle, but just adds a little something extra to the room. If you like stripes, but you don't feel that artistic, you can totally just use painter's tape to make that pattern really, really crisp, or freestyle it with a hand-painted line. The most important thing for stripes, no matter what you do, vertical or horizontal, make sure they're level. And if you're feeling extra cheap, you can also just use washi tape to make the stripes designs instead of even painting. I also have a video on creating faux wallpaper with washi tape that I will link below. And also, if you want to experiment with this technique, no matter what the pattern is, just start in a small room, in a small bathroom, small hallway. It's more low stakes and you can get a sense if you can really live with it. Now, let's move on from the walls and let's head up to the fifth wall, which is the ceiling. Specifically, painted ceiling medallions. What? I have talked about my love of painting things on ceilings, but I'm talking very specifically about ceiling medallions that are often found in more traditional or historic homes. And I love ceiling medallions, but sometimes they can feel a little bit like uptight and stuffy and a little bit like Downton Abbey. So if you want to make them more fun or modern or add more personality, just paint the medallion a little pop of color. It's a great way to get a little accent color in the room in a kind of unexpected way. So you can paint it in a solid color. Look how cute this robin's egg blue looks in this dining room. Or you can paint it in a way that shows off the details. Like, I love the contrast of the white shells with this beautiful pink one. And I know you might be thinking, Katie, I don't live in a historic home. I don't have a ceiling medallion. I don't give a about this cool tip. Well, guess what? You're wrong, because if you live in a modern white box, plain, boring apartment, you can give the illusion of having a ceiling medallion by painting a design right on the ceiling. This is a great way to add more playful, fun personality. It's very unexpected, and again, you can customize it however you want. For example, look at how gorgeous this gold sun is around the chandelier. This is a very simple pattern that adds a lot of drama. You can use metallic paint, or you can do regular colors and create something more elaborate. Like, look how gorgeous and detailed this is. I also love the floral pattern they did in this room. And this is a great hack, especially if you can't afford to replace your light fixture and you don't like it. You might be able to make it more your style or more fun by painting something around it. And you don't even have to be a fine artist to do it. For example, I love this groovy pop of orange with this pendant. I also love the gorgeous organic shapes in this dining room. With the shape and the shades of pink, it is such a delightful and unexpected add. And you can do this, again, to dress up pretty much any light. Like, check out this colorful kitchen. It has can lights, which are really boring, but they painted these cute flowers around it just to add more fun. It's so creative, it's so low budget. You could go get paint samples from the store. You could spend 30 bucks worth of paint samples and create a gorgeous multicolored design. And again, if you wanna try this, but you are worried, do it in a low stakes area, but I guarantee you're gonna love it, and then you're gonna have to paint 7 more around your house, so be warned. Moving on. We are gonna jump off the ceiling, back onto the walls, and talk about another way to add traditional historic charm to a place by painting faux wall molding. Wall molding, picture frame molding has become so popular in recent years, especially with the resurgence of like grand millennial style. And it is always a great way to add visual interest to a space. You can add real molding, you can add peel and stick molding, or you can get more creative and you can create a trompe l'oeil effect by actually painting the molding on the wall. OMG, this looks amazing. I love this because it can look really chic and sophisticated, like with the contrast of this simple black and white trim. You can also do the same type of thing to doors too, as you can see here. It really pops when you do a white trim on a colored background. And again, if you do very crisp, clean lines, it feels more buttoned up. You can also get really creative with the shapes and the pattern of the trim. Like, look how gorgeous this hallway and doorway are. And if you do it in a more hand-drawn way, it looks really fun and whimsical and charming. Like, look at this adorable living room. It looks like you're living in the cutest Parisian apartment of your dreams. And here's another example of hand-drawn trim on both the walls and the furniture. It's really trippy and fun. You can even do this outdoors to add more personality to a boring backyard. I mean, how gorgeous is this outdoor area? You can also try this on a ceiling to create a really cool geometric shape. I also love when people do this technique with a metallic paint, like a gold. I mean, look at this gold. It is so drama, it's so luxe. And again, if you don't even want to paint, you can also just use decorative washi tape. So when in doubt, make it molding? I don't know. Moving on, we're gonna keep this optical illusion train going with a technique that is underused, but really freaking great if you don't have a steady hand. And that is creating a faux alcove using paint. I love rooms with cozy nooks and corners, and I think it's amazing that paint can help you create illusions of architectural details that don't actually exist. So let me show you what I mean. As you can see here, by simply bringing a swath of color from the walls up onto the ceiling, you actually create the illusion of a little alcove or recessed space. You can see how they did that in this bedroom with this neutral taupe shade. It feels so cozy and tucked in. I love this hack in a bedroom, especially a very plain white box bedroom. It makes you feel kind of cozy and tucked in. This is another version in green, and I think it's so pretty. This is also a really great alternative to an accent wall because it brings the design out a little bit, which makes it feel more part of the room and not just slapped on a wall. You can also use this to define a space in a room. Like, I love how they did that in this corner of a room. Or here you can see they brought the color to the floor to make it feel really cohesive and distinct. This is also a great trick in a smaller dining room. Again, this is a very easy thing to do. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it is a fun little sneak way to add personality. Now, that said, sometimes you really want to define a space or an area, and you want to call a lot of attention to it. And sometimes you want to camouflage it. And one of the most common features in a house, and also somewhat of an eyesore, is closet doors. But paint can go a long way to either make that pop or to make it blend in. The truth is, you always have to work with what's in a space, and sometimes you just need to lean into something if you can't take it away. So instead of hiding it, sometimes it is great to make closet doors a big focal point. So just go hard and make it a full mural like this epic, colorful sunburst. Honestly, I say the more bold and bright it is, the more fun. This is especially great to do in a kid's room where you can play with pattern. You can also go more subtle with a simple pattern like these polka dot brush strokes. Now conversely, you might want to hide that the closet is there and make it feel more cohesive with the wall. And you can also do that by using paint in strategic ways. For example, I love how they partially covered these doors with colorful shapes to draw the eye elsewhere and make it feel like one large wall. You can also paint closet doors as though they are just part of the wall, so you can see how they created a continuous half wall by just painting straight over the closet. So you can be as dramatic or as subtle as you like, but really think about your closet doors as their own canvas. Now, obviously, I've been talking about the outside of a closet, but don't forget that you can also go buck wild with paint inside a closet. It's very common to neglect spaces that are small or out of the way or not always seen, but it is such a fun hit of dopamine to me to open a door and just get hit in the face with color or pattern. And when we're talking about the interiors of closets, I think it's especially effective to do a very bright color or a very rich color. Like, I love how this rich teal makes it feel like you've opened the doors into another little room instead of just a boring closet. The same goes for this nice olive color. You can also do something like this in a pantry. Like, I love this little hit of aqua blue. On this channel, we made over a walk-in closet and we decided to do a full color wash of pink all the way up onto the ceiling. And we added yellow shapes in just to make it more fun. And again, the smaller the space, the bolder you can go. Like, this is actually a photo of a bathroom, but how sick would it be to open your closet door to this really bold pattern? You can also do this in a space where you don't actually have a closet door, but you just want to make it feel a little bit more part of the decor. Like, you can see how they did that in this little hallway closet. For the record, I would prefer you to go as bold as possible with your paint, but I'm giving you options. But speaking of drama, let's take things to the bedroom with painted headboards. Similar to the wall moldings, you can get really creative and extra and dramatic and save some money by painting a headboard on the wall. In other videos, I've talked about the drama of wall-to-wall headboards, and paint is a really easy way to get that. So you can go full wall-to-wall, like this blue and pink scallop headboard shape. You can also mix up the shapes and the silhouette. Like, we've all seen the bedroom arch. I really love when you do arches that include more colors or variation like this one. But you can also keep it simple and do a very minimal shape, like this tone-on-tone rectangle version. Conversely, you can go really fun and whimsical, like with this bright yellow flower. Or you can do a more traditional trompe-l'oeil effect, like this really epic black and white drawing. I also thought this bright yellow one was so interesting and unique. It almost looks like a rug on the wall. You can also go more minimalist. Like, I think this pink dotted version is really fun and unique and subtle. You can be really dramatic with just a simple silhouette. Like, I love how they added drama and height to this with just a simple splash of white paint. Honestly, there are endless versions of this. You can do so many things and get so creative. I think it's especially fun for a kid's room. Maybe they could help you do it. I also think it's a fun thing to do in a guest room where maybe you don't want to spend a ton of money on the decor, but you still want it to feel cozy and kind of homey. There's something so playful about it. I just freaking love it. Now, clearly I have a deep obsession with trompe-l'oeil and painting effects on things, because another great place to employ that is on your stairs. And I'm not talking about painting your stair risers. We've seen a million versions of that, and yes, that's a cute way to add color and pattern. But I am talking specifically about painting a stair runner down your stairs. Stair runners are a very popular thing now. I've seen a lot of DIY channels do them. They're very cute, but they can be tricky to install, a little pricey. And if you don't install it right, they can pop out and make people trip. Also, if you have kids or pets, it can be a little difficult to clean depending on what's going on. But you can totally fake the vibe by painting a stair runner design. I love this blue version. It's so fun and pretty and low effort. Also, if you do a nice trim on it, it can look more realistic. Like, I love this cheery yellow version too. You can also add a few more colors and make it really eye-catching, or add a bold pattern to mix it up, like this graphic black and white. And if you're feeling really sassy, you can do a really cool illusion like this black rug with fake tassels at the end. It looks like they did that technique on concrete stairs, which is a really cool way to make something feel cozy without even bringing a textile in. And if this inspires you to do that fake rug effect with the faux tassels at the end, please send me a picture because I need to see it now. Okay, let's move from the stairs back to the walls and talk about how you can add more personality to a very common feature that a lot of people have in their house, and that is gallery walls or framed photos. Many homes have gallery walls. They are a staple of decor. Some people are kind of over them, But I think it's because those gallery walls can just feel a little meh. Like they can basically just end up as visual white noise. But luckily, you can revive your boring gallery wall by making it more of a moment and more of a visual focal point with one of my favorite hacks, which is painting a shape behind it. This is a really easy way to make them stand out, especially if you add a bold color. It just makes things feel more cohesive. It also helps you add scale if you need to fill a space but your art is undersized. You can see how they did that with this yellow background. They also did the same for this standalone piece of art. And painting color is a great tactic to do down a long hallway, which is a classic place to hang photos. Also, you don't have to just paint a basic square to frame it. I'm a big fan of doing really fun shapes. Like this unexpected diagonal streak adds cool visual interest. You can also do something really playful like this squiggle shape. I did this in a guest room makeover where we painted a bunch of different shapes just to make the gallery wall stand out more. It is a very simple, very high impact thing to do if you don't want to commit to a ton of paint throughout your house. And that brings us to our last tip, which I don't have a good name for. So I'm gonna call it using paint to extend art outside of the context within which it was meant to be perceived. AKA using paint to make your art even more dramatic. And here are some really unique creative examples. I love how they made this painting spill out of the frame and up onto the ceiling. It is so unique and creative and so unexpected. And if you'll notice, this is a completely white bathroom, but the dramatic piece is so next level, you feel like you're in an art installation. There are also less dramatic, but more whimsical ways to do this. For example, I love how they painted this peacock silhouette around a bust of a flamingo. It doesn't actually make sense because the bust is a flamingo, not a peacock. But it's so fun and playful, so who even cares? Now, here's another really cool example. I love how they used paint to play off the architectural elements of the painting. So they painted that arch behind it, and then they styled it as though it were a whole doorway. So that whole vignette basically feels like a layered set piece. Here's another example of using paint to play with the elements in the room. It's like they dipped the whole bottom half of the room in paint, which is really cool and unusual. And here is another example of adding paint to an existing element to extend the visual experience. I know this is a kind of weird concept, but basically just think about how you can play with paint in like 2D and 3D ways to interact with elements in the space. So those are today's fun, cool, creative tips. I have a lot more paint ideas and I will be doing more in this series. I also have a lot of other decor tip videos, all will be linked below. If you enjoyed this video and if you got anything out of it, please subscribe. And if you love DIY and decor and renter-friendly hacks, you can also sign up for my newsletter below. I send out a monthly roundup of fun little inspiration just to give you some ideas. Also, if you have any cool tips of fun ways you've used paint in your home, feel free to drop them in the comments. I love to hear it. And until next time, go get your paint on. Okay, bye.